the story does not end there. After Hendrix, I go to the Faulkner County Library here in Conway. And I asked them to display it, and they said, sure. So I come back in about a week. Well, the Daughters of the Revolution had placed a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. So I went ahead and I laid with Lincoln in front, and my display on this side and their display on that side. Well, I went over and I began to look at it. Now the thing is, this is what Lincoln saw, and this is what I normally have seen. That day, this is what I saw. It was actually a readable copy of the Declaration of Independence. And I began to read. And I read that all men are created equal. When I read that, I realized the greatest accomplishment of President Lincoln is when he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The thing was, it did not end in a period. There was actually a comma after that. Now, you have to realize that Lincoln was fulfilling what the Founding Fathers wanted. So as I read on, and like I said, it says that all men are created equal, comma. So it didn't end the thought. When the thought started, and it says that they are endowed by their Creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When I read that, I went home and I wrote this, which you can see it was on the Declaration. Now, I had a 17-year-old young man read this. And I wanted to know his input. After he reads it, he tells me I left something out. I thought that was interesting. I said, well, Mark, I said, what did I leave out? He said, a title. Okay. After reading it one time, I said, well, Mark, what would you call it? At this time, I would like to read this to you. And this is Mark's title. Here, get one more little drink. This is his title. A Declaration of Truth. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were the principles this country was founded upon. These principles hinge on one factor. Life. Does it not equate to a job? For if you have no job, you have no means to create a life. If you have no job, you have no liberty. If you have no liberty, you have no pursuit of happiness. A job gives a person a sense of being, a purpose, a reason to wake up each day to press on. It defines who you are. Ask yourself, if I had no job, or I wasn't going to college, where would I be right now? Would you have life with liberty? Do not give your brother a loaf of bread, but instead give him the means to feed himself and his family. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is just one job away for all. Lincoln fulfilled what the Founding Fathers wanted. Can we? Now, I have a story about poor Abe. Now, poor Abe lost his job. I have a question for you. Whose problem is it if Abe don't have a job? Is it Abe's problem, or is it our problem? Now, like I said, Abe lost his job. He's went through his unemployment. Rent is due. and there's a mortgage on the house that he's living in. Who do you think is going to pay for that mortgage? That's right, the landlady. Now, unfortunately, the landlady has a mortgage on her house. Now, how much stress did we just put into the landlady's life? I call this the domino effect. Okay, Abe's feeling pretty bad about himself. So what's he do? He goes out and he gets drunk, spends all the money. He comes home, little woman goes, Abe, kids need food. What's Abe do? He goes down to the butcher, steals some food. Another domino effect. Next day comes, guess what? Kids are hungry again. What's Abe do? He goes back down to the butcher. But this time, he's arrested. Now, I'm going to ask you one more time. Whose problem is it? That's right. It's our problem. So, to keep Abe in prison or jail for 1 year, it is going to cost us $30,000 to $40,000. Now, let's not forget about Abe's legal expenses, tying up the courts, lawyers. That's another $20,000. $60,000. And now let's not forget about Abe's 3 kids. We're going to feed them. We're going to give them medical. That's about another $40,000. We're up to $100,000. The kids are living in squalor without a father. Think about that for just a minute. $100,000. We're spending billions on this side, and what are we doing for our next generation? Living in poverty. The question I have for you, what if we simply give Abe a job? At least the kids will have a father to raise them. Before Abe loses everything, what if he could go down to the state? One day he might be painting a park bench. The next day he might be cutting up wood. Now, the thing is, what I want to ask from you guys, I made a website called creatingjobs.info. And there's a sheet back there when you leave. I made a presentation. It is entitled, How Can Everyone Win by Creating Jobs? I would like you to go there. It takes about 15 minutes to read. But while you're reading, ask yourself, will it work? And then make a comment and put it on social media. I don't know nothing about that, but put it on social media. Make it go viral, or whatever you guys call that. Now, the thing is, there's some of you that's going to step up and go, I can make this better. That's where the $1,000 challenge comes in at. If you can make it better, make it better. Now the thing is, let's say you do this and you don't win the $1,000. But let's just say you put 100 people to work. 100 families will be eating. That is worth more than the $1,000. Now, in this presentation, anyone that's going to go to, that are law students, you will see there's 2 sites that I do, and it's to the preamble of the Constitution. And I know the courts aren't very hip on the preamble of the Constitution. But you have to realize these are our ideals. This is what we're trying to obtain. So the articles, the amendments underneath support our ideals. Now, when you're on this website, you will see that I want to go to the White House, but it's not to be president. I want to give the president viable options on putting our men, our women, our veterans, and even our prisoners to work. You want to do something about the recidivism rate? Give them a job before they ever get out of prison. Don't send them back to their impoverished streets. You'll also see on this website that I want to give this display to the president and to all that follow. That way they will keep the people's interest at the forefront of their mind. And when they look at this, they will remember the people who have come before us, the Washingtons, the Lincolns, and even the unknown. Now, many have asked me, why this president? Why not the next president? Let me ask you, or let me ask the president. Hopefully one day he will see this. I would ask him, who does he owe? Because to be president, many people believe you're going to owe someone. I would tell him he owes no one except for the people. Where do you go from here? To write your memoirs? I want him to be able to write in his memoirs how he helped millions medically and saved the country billions. We all know, or excuse me, it is a known fact that marijuana has a medical purpose. But how is it scheduled? It has no medical purpose. This doesn't, it shouldn't be. It needs to be rescheduled. That's what I would ask him to do. Reschedule it and put it into the hands of the doctors. Now, to you guys, voice your opinions. Go to this website, voice your opinion. So let us see if we can change the world around us. I want to thank you. And if there's any questions, I'll go ahead and take those right now. Hopefully I didn't bore you. Yes, sir.
Are these actual copies of, are these copies of the notes, or are these the actual notes?
No. These are the actual notes. The stamps here are from the 1847. These are proofs. So they would do those first, look at them and say, okay, that's what I want, and then they would run them. Now, the only things that are not genuine are these coins here and these two coins here. Because you have to realize, either they're poor shape or there'd probably be about $1 million sitting right there in that account. So I went cheap on it. So, you know. Yes, ma'am.
How long did it take you to collect all of these?
Actually, I started in '09 and I found that first note. So, any other questions?
What is your motive also?
Do I not?
What do you want to achieve except giving this to the president? What do you think would be more about? Like, you say you're giving back.
Yes.
But if you give this to the president and he doesn't act, or if you give it to anybody in power and they don't act, what is
Yes.
your way?
The thing is, that's a great question. If you saw, a wise man once said, if you saw a blind man getting ready to walk off a cliff, would you tell him? If they do not listen, if they want to continue on to go off the cliff, then so be it. So that's why I have an alternative motive. To me, getting jobs, getting the president to do something might not work. But this is like a sacrifice. Because I look at Washington and Lincoln. This runs about $30,000. So it is a sacrifice for them to do something different. That's why my alternative motive is the marijuana. I work with people that have cancer. I have one lady, her face is, she says it's been cut off. Really, it was reconstructive surgery. The second time is because the medicine she used ate into the metal screws. She lives in this state. She is a criminal. Not really. So, that's what I'm here for. Any other questions? Okay. I appreciate all coming. And like I said, this will be here till Friday at 7 o'clock. You can view it. And I'm glad that you guys came. So, are you guys glad you came? Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.